What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sports. I am Dom with the Great Man Sauce, and we've got a special guest today.
Doma, we got a great guest coming on the
Shane,
show. Shane,
aka Sportscardz
What's up, boys?
with a Z, 23. How you going, mate?
Good, fellas. Good. Thanks for
Very
having
glad
us.
to have you on. Thank
Yep.
you. Thanks for joining us. Saucy teed this up. He's very excited as well. Shane's excited. Sauce is excited. Saucy worded me up during the week, Shane, that you might get fiery on a few topics, and that's what we like. That's what we like.
I'm a passionate dude. I've been in this game for a while, and we've seen massive changes in the last 24 months, right? Like, seriously, like the hobby's just booming, and I think for a lot of like guys that have been collecting for a long time, it's just overwhelming, but it's a good thing, don't get me wrong, but it's overwhelming, I think, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's good. First, it's good that you say it's a good thing, because there's a lot of older guys that have been in it for a while, and they're just like, they want the new breed or the new people coming in to sort of piss off. But like, do you then want literally you only being able to make significant money on the top 5% of cards, whereas now you're dipping down into the lower, you can get like 50% of cards you can nearly buy and flip and make money on. It's like unbelievable,
man. Like, seriously, so that's how I like move my way up with my PC, right? Is getting cards off ComC and raw grading and blah blah blah. That's how I did it, It's just part of the game now, right?
it's
not
right.
Just like, so back in the day, like, you could pick up crazy cards, right? Like, man, I remember being offered 2003 exquisite LeBron rookies, patch autos, for like $5,000 Australian, right? And I'm thinking, dreaming, I'm not going to pay $5,000, right? And this would have been in like 2010, and I thought, man, $5,000 for one card, I wasn't going to pay $5,000 for a LeBron, let alone an MJ, like that's just how it was then, right? And then, hey, now you look what's happening now. It's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. When did you start collecting? So we know you've been in the game for a while. So give us a bit of a background when you started collecting and what you like to collect, whether it be NBA or any other.
So I remember as a boy, I would have been like 8 or 9. So we're talking 89, 90. I used to collect like bottles, right? And then go return them to the local deli, get some money, and then go buy a few packs of hoops with the mates, So yeah, it would have been 1990 I started collecting.
Very nice.
I remember the hoops vividly, and I remember like 93, 94 is when they started having like inserts like face to face and a few other things like that, and it was just, I thought that was pretty cool, Face to face is still one of my favorite sets.
There's some classic inserts from that 90s that I still think are like underrated, that people don't realize the potential rarity of some of those ones that that people, it's not like today, like everyone who's opening packs, people they even go to the extremes of having gloves. They got their top loaders literally on hand. Back then, people were just like opening it and just like, rummaging through the cards. They weren't like protecting the shit. So I understand people might say it's been printed a lot and there was a lot of 90s junk wax, but like, people weren't looking after the cards as they are today. So, some of that stuff is...
Bro, you try to find a BGS 9.5 MJ face to face or a PSA 10. Good luck. I've got about 20 boxes of NBA hoops, 93, 94, and even if I pull them packed fresh, trying to get a gem mint one, it's pretty tough. Like, that's one of my I want to get that card in a gem mint, right? I've been trying for at least 2 years, and I still no luck.
That Grail just keeps escaping him.
It does.
That's
it
his
does.
card.
I keep getting 7 5s, and it's like, oh, I thought this one might get a 9 at least, you know. Yeah.
That's interesting. What else do you collect? Is it just basketball? Is what other sports?
Okay. Yeah, well, so I live in Canada now. So now I'm starting to expand into hockey. My son plays hockey, so I thought, you know, I'd try to be Canadian and fit in, and yeah, get into some hockey, man. And I've watched some vintage like Gretzky games, man. Like, it's such a sick sport. Like, I love hockey. I think any sport where you could throw your gloves down and sort out your differences, like that's pretty cool, right?
He's definitely from that 90s era and that era, Dom, especially out of Australia. We've seen some of those biffos in the AFL in the 90s. It was classics.
It's definitely transitioned into his Canadian culture. That's for sure.
Right, 80s can't be 80s AFL. Oh.
There you go.
Love it.
We have noticed that you do have the holy grail of hockey cards, which is a Wayne Gretzky Opeachy. I don't think you got a Gem Mint 10. We hope that you did. That'd be elite. But how'd you come across getting that card? And when did you get it? Did you buy it in the hype or before the hype?
I bought that card before the hype, right? I recently sold it, but I've got in my eyes another one I'm trying to get a hold of now through a private deal. But now I'm buying into the hype, right? But I think so. I'm after a PSA 8 now.
Nice.
I had a PSA 6, but it was beautiful. I regret selling it now, but hey, I did it to get another card, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So look, man, I'm not.
Kobe?
It was a Kobe.
It was worth it.
Hey, and you know what? So look, man, I look at these like big rookie cards, like even MJ rookie cards, Kobe Topps Chrome. You look at the pop reports, right? These aren't rare cards. Like they're rare at the higher end, yeah. But if you want to get one of those cards, you can, like, I don't know how many MJ rookies I've had in my time. I've had lots. They come and go. Now with the prices, how they are, like, maybe that's unattainable, right? Because of the prices. But I really feel, I think they're close to peaking, to be honest. And I think there'll be a correction, and that's when I'll probably swoop on a higher grade one.
I'm going to skip a lot further into what we wanted in this interview because I'm going to ask you straight off the bat now. What are your thoughts on the box prices for current products and obviously older products? He's already shaking his head.
Mate, let me tell you, it's absolute BS, right? It will not last, and if anything, I don't care what anyone says because it's mostly the breakers that'll say, oh, yeah, it's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. No, they're the ones that will ruin it, right? And then the other people that are busting, you know, sleeping at Walmart to go get 10 blaster boxes and then resell them for double, right? That, man, yeah, look, I love wax. I think as a collector, everyone loves to bust open something. And, you know, look, I busted open 2 of these randomly. I saw on on the Quokka, right? But or Gumtree. But the Canadian version, I saw these cheap. I was like, nah, I got to get them because I hadn't opened any wax for so long. But I paid like triple the amount of the retail price, you know. So, man, I don't know who can buy this stuff, to be honest. And even like high-end cards like MJ rookies, and it's getting out of control. I like to see the prices rise, and I like to see that, especially with stuff that deserves it. But I think there's a lot of like private investors with big money that are controlling this.
Controlling the
And
wax, yeah.
wax and like high end, like Gretzky rookies, like whoever's buying these, the PSA 10 for 1.4 million whatever dollars, and these MJs that are off center PSA 10s, and they're going for 200K. Like, bro, I've seen BGS 9s that are better than them PSA 10s, right? Because it comes down to eye appeal. Like a lot of these graders are, mate, they're smoking stuff, they're smoking drugs before work, and then they're going to go grade. Like, I just think I
think that's one of those things, like, especially with the grading, in terms of like some 9s and some 10s. I know we've discussed it a fair bit. John has definitely gone into depth with it. I think it gets to a point where when you've been in the hobby for so long and you've seen so many cards, especially of the same card, you can't fool somebody in the hobby, a collector. You genuinely cannot fool the person on an eye test. And if you put the cards side by side, then it just like it debunks anything that a grading company will say, because you'll be like, it's right here. And we've seen some ridiculous stuff. Like recently, we've seen heaps of it, whether it's a BGS or a PSA. But what's your thoughts on the grading companies, and the big push towards PSA being literally the one and done in the hobby? That's the way it's going at the moment. The way
yeah, man. PSA, okay, a few years ago was garbage, right? No one wanted, and I'm talking even 2-3 years ago at the most. I mean, at the smaller end, the PSA had some problems, like with a lot of fake cards and fake slabs and all that back like around 2010. So I always thought BGS was king. And I think a lot of people in Australia still prefer BGS to PSA. I don't know many people from Australia that are sending their cards to PSA. It's all BGS.
There's a lot.
Yeah, man.
A lot, Shane. Like, I'm serious. There's a massive group now, a massive PSA submission group on Facebook, and it's like, I don't know, it's hitting close to 1,000 members, and they're sending like 2,000 cards a month, something like that. So
that's new, right? Like when I was in Australia, there was no one doing that with PSA. So I've been gone for like 18 months or so. There wasn't anyone, and you know why? That's because the hype is with PSA, right? Everyone wants PSA 10. Blah blah blah. Hey, to be honest, I think service level, I get better customer service from Beckett than I do from PSA. PSA's been pretty good, but I've had a recent experience with them with an MJ rookie. I'm not going to go into it too much because, anyway. But I've had a bad experience with them, so I'm not sure if I'd ever send high-end stuff back to PSA.
Is it, you don't need to get into it, but was it regarding the grade or just the way that they handled your card? Or
I think it was damaged in their possession, but I can't go into it too much because of,
fair enough,
proof-wise, blah, blah, blah. I've got only photos of the front of the card and not the back of the card, so that's my fault. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but
fair enough.
I wouldn't send in a card if I knew it was like in that, I just wouldn't do that, and I definitely wouldn't have cracked it out of the slab. So, but
makes sense.
There's no proof against it.
I think it is one of those things where it is a personal preference now with a lot of collectors, but something that has obviously come up in the last couple of months, where we've discussed it, but Card Porn, the Instagram account's definitely been in depth with it. I just want to get your take. We said on this show that if there's a fake slabs for your company and you are the CEO of a company, for example, you can't just turn a blind eye and say it's not an issue for us to correct. I think it is the biggest issue you need to correct, because you're going to lose your reputation in the hobby is getting a hit every single day. And Source has seen stuff, and he sent me screenshots from groups that he's in, and people just saying, why would I send it there when they just make fake slabs and you can't. So what's your thought on the BGS? Because they have such a massive history in the hobby.
I'm sort of disappointed that they haven't addressed it yet. Man, this is weird. So yesterday I actually got a call from Beckett. I think his name was Charles Stable. Man, he's a top bloke, man. I think he recognizes as well, because I've sent in a lot of high-end stuff to them. So, man, he jumped straight on the phone to me because I forgot to send in the UDAs with some buyback cards, some Gretzky signed cards. So he directly rang me, blah, blah, said, hey, I need these so we can finish grading your cards, where I've never encountered anything like that with PSA. Like, they're hard to get a hold of. But yeah, getting back to the fake slabs, it is disappointing they haven't come out and spoke about it yet. But they are a massive company also. They're doing their work on it. I think there's a little bit more involved in it, and they're just keeping hush about it until they exactly know what's going on. Because I really think they're trying to find this culprit, right, or culprits. But yeah,
I reckon we've said that the easiest way to probably fix that is all they have to do is make one simple change, whether it's a QR code, the PS. I know you don't want to be similar to PSA in that sense, but even if you just have it on the back and it's just an authenticator, it doesn't matter what happens after when you go buy the slab. You just go look at the back view. If there's a thing on there, then at least you know
it's a real one.
It's legit. So, but I'm with you in terms of like the customer service from BGS. It's something that definitely a lot of people have always like praised them in that regard, that they always look after their customers. Obviously with backlogs, it's very tough they're trying to smash our cards. PSA's in the same boat. But that's yeah, and that's the other thing that we're concerned about, and Source has definitely discussed this with backlogs. If you just spread the love to everyone else, like you don't need to have 2 million cards in backlog or whatever it is at PSA. Like BGS is just as good. I understand they've had a hiccup, but what company hasn't had a hiccup in its history? So we'll see how it pans out.
I think they'll sort it out.
We're excited for CGS. I'll give them a go. I'll give them a go. Why not? They're good in the Pokemon game, and they do provide subgrades. And I've spoke to you about this before, Shane. That's why, in my opinion, I think Beckett's, at least they give you some, idea as to why you've obtained that grade, right, with the subgrades. Like, why doesn't that stand for something? Like, it's ridiculous that people, like, just see that 10 on PSA, but then you look at a 9.5 and it's just the same, but, like, it's, a card could be, like, $4,000 difference. Like, it doesn't make sense,
man. You look at that, especially with the MJ rookies right now, right? You see these PSA 10s, and they're all the old labels. Oh, man. And, man, they're off center, right? And then you see a BGS 9 or a 9.5 that's better, like a better eye appeal, and it sells for thousands and thousands of dollars less. It just doesn't make sense. But that's just a lot of the new wave people coming in, and they're buying the grade, right? All they hear is PSA is the best. If you had to come in and started collecting 10 years ago, you'd have a totally different view on grading. SGC, mate, like they're even, they had even less than PSA back in the day, but they're stepping up their game. I give them that. But yeah, I'm always I'm a BGS guy.
That's fair enough. Me. Fair enough. But I think
especially with all
yeah, I think CGS though will be a company that may shake it up a fair bit. They like world renowned for their grading of comic books initially, and then obviously, as Saul said in the in the Pokemon game, and they do a great job in there. We actually sent some stuff over to them, Pokemon cards and stuff. We just thought, understand PSA, a PSA, and we probably would have got 10x on whatever it was compared to, or 5x, whatever it is on a CGC card. But the fact that we get subgrades, they actually are one of the harsher companies that grade Pokemon cards, and they like literally put them under a microscope. We kind of wanted that. But with CGS, the other thing John was saying, he said it on a recent podcast, is they've got offices in different parts around the world. So if they can nail this transition into sports cards, then wait times for certain areas around the world will be significantly less compared to a PSA or a BGS, because they're based in the States, well, in North America. So that could really shake things up and really push those other ones to become better again. So,
well,
it's important that we got competition, right, Shane?
Oh, right, 100%. Like, seriously, like if you just let PSA take the market, oh man, that's not a good thing. I don't think Beckett would ever. That's not going to happen. But these like PSA, I know they're bringing in computer grading and blah blah blah, all these new technologies for grading, right? I think that's a game changer, because the computer won't lie, the machine won't lie. So, you get these off-center PSA 10s, they're going to come back 9s or 8.5s, right? So all these people that are paid X amount of dollars for this PSA 10, right, if they go to resell that in the future and they want that top dollar, if this computer grading and new system of grading is out, no one's going to buy it unless it's been graded by that new system.
It's like now people don't want to buy the new Lighthouse slab, not the old slabs, right? And people are paying more for the new PSA slabs than the older ones. It's the same correction is going to happen, where people can be like, oh, that's a different type of slab. That's actually graded with a computer. It's more, accurate. I want that one. Wow.
Yeah, like I said, man, like these graders, they're human, right? We don't know. Man, they could be having an argument before work. It could be anything, right? They're human. We're human. It doesn't mean you're going to be 100% right? So, look, I've got some peers, like some from my subs, and I'm like, shit, I didn't think that would get a 10, and boom, I got a 10, right? So,
definitely
luck of the draw, I think, too, right? But at the end of the day, I think BGS 10 is king. If you have BGS 10 is a proper 10, in my opinion.
With you on that point, mate.
Well, you see the subgrade that tells you how you got the 10, so I agree with that as well. So, genuinely, it makes sense. Next up, in regards to your collection, you have an extensive Kobe, LBJ, MJ collection. Why did you decide to collect these three players? Now, people are going to think you're crazy, but it makes so much sense. But why these three?
Yeah, because they're the GOATs, man. Like, of the new era, they're the GOATs, man. Look, I love basketball. I swear, man. Like, I've played basketball from when I was a little kid, and I still, I'm going to keep playing and shooting, blah, blah, blah. I just love the game. I watch it every night. I'm cracking one of these, and I sit down and I watch, I get to watch the games, which sucks in Australia because I was always in work. You guys, the games are in the morning, which sucks, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, especially playoff time. I hated that. But, so now, it's, I'm over here.
I through the finals, I threw a couple of sickies, you know what I mean? Just watch the Lakers get it on.
Yeah, of course, man. I remember going to like the Crown Casino in Perth, man, and I wasn't the only one throwing a sickie, Like, I'd go there and there'd be 100 people there at 9:30 in the morning on the sauce, So it is what it is. But that's the Aussie, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I collected them because so I loved like all the hype around Zion and all that, right? But these kids, man, like to become Kobe, MJ, Shaq, LeBron, there's a few other guys, right? Like it's very hard. Like the chances of Luka, Giannis, Trey, any of these guys making it, oh mate, let me tell you, it's slim. If they win one championship, mate, well done, right? But to win multiple, you've got to be special, and those special players only come generationally, right? So I'm sure I got a good feeling about Luka, and Giannis. Giannis's time is coming. But far out, man. That kid shot a lot of air balls last night, man. Damn. Like, I've never seen a league MVP just shooting bricks. Like,
what was he taking mid-ranges?
Oh, man. Even from the free throw line. Oh, my God, man. He's building.
Well, I've said that. What's happened to his free throw shooting? He went 1 of 10 the other day. 1 of 10.
Bro, like...
No, I said the mid-range as a joke because that was Sauce.
He's shooting a free ball, all right, sort of, but yeah, that's a sick Kobe in the background there, man.
Yeah, that's my little print that
I'm in the dungeon here, boys. I'm in the garage.
But
the magic happens.
So I know it's Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan.
Yep.
I understand you just said slim pickings for, obviously, some of those other modern guys. So the question to you, why should people invest in vintage more than a modern? I know there's kids are coming into the hobby and these are their LeBrons, Kobe's, and their Jordans, like Luka and Trey. I completely get why they collect them. The prices, we could look at some of the cards and say, this is just stupid. Like you can go buy LeBron rookie. Like John's put a couple out on his Saucy Smoky, a couple upper deck ones. You can get them for like $100 USD, graded. It's just like for real. Why vintage? And do you think vintage will finally get its time at some point in the hobby where it'll correct itself and it'll be vintage king, and modern guys will be corrected back to a level playing field in a price?
I think that's going to happen real soon. I reckon it's going to happen very soon. And I think the market and all the people in the hobby are recognizing this now. Like if you look at Kobe's, they're going bananas. LeBron's are going tops fine. The Chrome rookie is going through the roof. Jordan's, I think that just says it all right there. The GOATs are getting heavy steam. I think, so when it comes playoff time, if Luka doesn't do well in the playoffs and doesn't win an MVP, big time. Giannis, he's won 2 MVPs, so he'll still hold some value. But like Trey Young and Zion and Ja Morant, like these guys, man, like they're not going to be able to compete against the Lakers, Clippers, Nets, Bucks. The Heat are pretty good. When it comes finals time, right, the money time, it just is a lot of hype, and I think there's a lot of market manipulation behind it. But it is what it is, man. I just think it will correct.
Yeah,
it will correct.
I get that, and some of those guys there, like, look, I sort of get the whole sentiment behind, and I've heard people speaking about this on the socials sort of over the last couple of weeks, and that's guys they obviously want to buy guys to watch them and be involved in their career, and having that card of that player, and then watching him and wanting him to succeed. It's like you're invested, you know what I mean? You're physically invested because you got that physical card, right? And like I get that sentiment, and I sort of I understand it with some of the players, like obviously the Treys and the Lukas and things. But it's like when you start going down the list, and you got like people speculating on like Taylor Horton Tucker and Bol and guys that really, even though they're all right, they're being there, but they're like the prices they're paying. Michael Porter Jr. Like the prices that some of these guys are demanding. I mean, you can even go to the point where Tyler Herro had a crazy run up when he was in the finals, and had that crazy run up. So it's just
Tyler Herro, man. He's not going to be. He's like, come on, man.
I like Tyler Herro.
He's going to break my heart here.
I don't know. It's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. But
is he going to be better than Klay Thompson?
You look,
No.
probably
Klay
not. Like
Thompson
Klay Thompson's pretty good, and that's what I mean. His prices are at the same price as Klay Thompson. Yeah, I get you. I'm with you on
He's
that.
higher than Klay.
They are.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, right? And Clay's man at his position in this modern era. He's one of the best to do it. He's not gonna. I can't see Hero being on that level. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I know it's early to say.
That's fair
maybe 8 years time. Yeah, maybe when all these guys are out of the league and it's his time. That's when we will know. You know, in 5 to 7, 8 years, that's when we'll know if these kids are going to be
definitely
classified in that Hall of Fame or goat talk. But yeah, to get another LeBron, man, it'll be sad when like, you know, how much time's LeBron got? Maybe a couple more seasons at this sort of level. We won't see a player like that for a long time. I don't 100%, think.
100%.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Can we ask you who the GOAT is?
100% Michael Jordan. Anyone that thinks not, you're delirious, mate.
So
off your right.
So if
LeBron, I love him.
If LeBron wins 6,
he's not going to win 6. He'd be lucky if he gets 5. I think he'll get 5. This is their year to go back to back. I don't see him going 3-peat. Mate, if he gets 6, hey, props to him. But I still would not put him above MJ. He's a killer. Like, imagine MJ was playing in this era. Oh my gosh. I see these posts of Luka's got 30 fucking triple doubles. Like, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? Like, what's Luka done, man? Yeah, he's good. Don't get me wrong. I love watching the kid. But MJ, if he was playing in this league now, oh my goodness, mate, just the rest of the league might as well stop playing. That's how bad he would kill everyone. Like, I can't see. He was.
I guess
like
it actually is. Yeah, fair to say that though. I agree to an extent because we saw MJ light in terms of like Kobe play in this era, and he dominated. Like, he dominated in the 2000s, like 2010. They won the title. The Lakers, yeah, you won it in 2010. So he actually dominated. Yeah, back to back. Like the Lakers dominated during that time. What's to say Jordan wouldn't have killed it even more?
Well, let's say, because I bet you if they were all in the same era, I bet you Kobe doesn't have 5 and LeBron definitely wouldn't have 4. Like, MJ, obviously it'd be different because it's all about super teams and supporting casts, right? So it all does come down to that as well. But I think, I just think people, you need to go back and study the game and watch, right? Even go watch Larry and Magic and Dr. J, and I love watching the old games. The game's just so different, right? But the guys that dominated then, they were like the main guy in their team most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Even MJ, the first 3 championships, he had a good team around him, but it was still him. He was the guy. Pippen was the next 3. That's when Pippen and Rodman and all the other guys were. I think he had a better team for the last 3 championships than the first 3. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, perfect transition for this question. Sauce and I actually discussed this before we jumped on. Now, we've seen Sauce has got the pop on this because he actually looked it up. But it's Jordan's Fleer rookie.
Oh, yeah, it's like 316 PSA 10.
Yeah. So there's 316 of this card in a PSA 10. I completely understand that there's it's a 1-of-1 Giannis that went for $1 million. But I don't understand how exactly what you said before in regards to when you're like collecting hoops and trying to get that face-to-face Jordan. Just if you pull it fresh with gloves and a top loader, you still get a 7.5. Obviously, the way cards were cut back then when they were manufactured and whatnot, and especially in the 80s, like you're saying this about a 90s product. Now we're talking about an 80s product. To get a 10 on this card, I understand in 6 weeks it's gone up 83 grand USD in 6 weeks. But how is this card not close to $500,000 USD? This is the thing I don't understand about the hobby. We'll go and buy a Luca. Someone will spend whatever on a Luca. What was it, like 500K on a Luca? I understand there's a lower print run. It's a shorter print run. I completely understand that. But the card is 35 years old, and people don't understand. With modern technology, you can practically print a 10 out the back and literally wrap it in the wax and put it in a packet, in a box. Sorry, like they're literally printing 10s. Like Source can go get the Luca pop report on the Prism rookie, and I tell you what, there isn't 167 PSA 10s out there.
316. There's bloody 15,000.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what I don't understand. What are your thoughts on that? He's the GOAT. Yeah. We say he's the GOAT. So why is he not at GOAT status? Why is he not at GOAT status?
Man, I don't know. It's crazy. I think it's coming. Obviously, we see the incline, but I think so. This is what I think is going to happen. I think when everything corrects, we're going to see the MJs probably stay very close to what they're at now, but then you're going to see like these Luca Silver Prisms or Luca National Treasures, right? This is his big one, right? They're going to come down, man. Until he actually performs, I think that's what will happen. And they will come down quite aggressively, where I think the GOAT cards, I think they're going to sit at about what they're at now. And when the correction comes, they won't take a dip too much. It should be like the Lucas and the Giannis's and Treys and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it should be worth a lot more than it is. Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, and you know, the other thing is, so MJ rookies that are autographed, they should be worth even more. Because
I reckon I'm with that too. I think that's so bizarre that people
like to get a MJ rookie number 57 signed, and who cares on the condition, man? If the GOAT has signed his own rookie card, like that is not like, you know, you couldn't buy that from a pack, right? They didn't make him like that, so you couldn't pull a rookie autographed MJ rookie from a pack, right? So for him, wherever at one of his flight camps, to get one of those cards, there's not many out there, right? Like I actually don't know the actually pop on those, but I know it's quite low. Same as the rookie sticker, which is really the true first insert, right? The rookie MJ rookie sticker. In my mind, I think that's one of the first true inserts ever made. So yeah, man, I don't have the answer for that one. But you're right. It should be up there. Even I was listening to Gary Vee, and he thinks it's going to be $1 million card.
I did see that.
10.
I did see that.
And that was recent.
Yeah.
I think he's right, because you look at all these other prices, man. Like, what's Giannis? Giannis here has won 2 MVPs. Obviously, he's a freak and he's an awesome player, but he's still got a long way to go to win multiple championships. It's just 100%. Very tough to do.
Yep, I'm with you on that point.
Yeah,
it's got to have another rise, and we've been saying that. And Dom has actually said to me that it's going to be get to $1 million at some point. So, and he's said this.
I didn't say that because I want one
ages ago. So he said
I've called 2 things. If there's 2 things I'm going to be right ever in this hobby, and I'm saying I'm that confident that it's gonna happen. That Jordan rookie is going to be worth $1 million, and the Charizard first edition base set will be worth $1 million. And I said that was going to be worth $1 million at some stage this year because it's the anniversary of Pokemon. It will get there.
Yeah, the anniversary, yes.
So people can laugh at us. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, hey, look, I'm not a Pokemon guy, right? But man, even like, where is it? I bought some Pokemon for my kids, right? Trying to get one of these shiny Charizards, right? So, man, like, I'm not a Pokemon guy, but they look cool.
No, they do.
You know, a dragon's cool as shit. So I wouldn't mind a shiny dragon card, you know. But yeah, $1 million, man. Put it this way: if I had them, mate, I'd be flipping them pretty quick. I don't know. I don't know much about Pokemon, so I don't want to talk about the value and
Yeah, it's fair
because I don't know it. But
I don't. In my opinion, I've said it before. Like, it'll get there, but whether it stays at $1 million or it gets even higher than that, I can't see it happening because they're not. They're like, you think about it. You think about Pokemon. Source and I discussed this. It's like, it's not a realistic thing.
No,
you know what I mean. You use it in a game, and there's memorabilia of it out there in terms of like propaganda and stuff because it's used for marketing Pokemon, and Nintendo's use that. And that's why I bring it back to, and we've spoken about Kobe's and Jordan's and LeBron. I understand it's giving you good memories playing the games, but that transitions in the hobby. That really does.
Yeah.
Same thing happens for sports cards. Like, we look at Kobe and Jordan and LeBron. What they accomplished is one thing, but it's the memories that they gave the collectors that are out there. That's the other part that is just so, so important. And I understand that's why it's transitioning to modern guys. I get that. But a lot of these modern guys, what they've given to us as a basketball fan, because I've lived through it, Sources lived through it as well, so have you, it's nowhere near to the level of what a Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron have given us thus far.
And Shaq, man, I don't think
Shaq,
he gets
100%. I even like to say Tim Duncan, like the fact to win 5 championships. And I say this: if you take Parker or Ginobili out of that team, I still think Duncan gets a championship, maybe 2. Does he win 5?
Mm-hmm.
No. But if you take Duncan out of there, do they even win 1 championship?
No, because look at Ginobili and Parker, great players, but they needed Duncan to gel, right? Like, that was, man, they were and very well coached. Like, Pop is the man, right? So if you ever watch, man, I love this. It's probably one of the best final series I've ever watched is when the Spurs beat the Heat with LeBron and that, right? Mate, that was the best coaching I've ever seen in my life. Greg Popovich, mate, take my hat off to him, mate. He is a guru. I think, and that's why a lot of that if you can go back and watch that series, it was.
I don't plan on it.
Excellent.
He's a Miami fan, so he's not happy.
Yeah, I don't plan. I'll go watch the one when all the Miami fans left, and I was in the stadium, and I was watching it. And I'm like, I ain't going anywhere. This is my team. And Raylan hit that shot. I reckon I almost jumped through the roof when he hit that shot, and we ended up winning it. But I agree with you on that statement. They were coached very, very well, and there was no answer for it, especially considering like Wade was struggling injury-wise, and the whole team looked old and slow compared to that Spurs team. It was just LeBron was the only guy who dominated, but no one else was there to help him get the team over the line. But that's pretty much it for the questions. But we've got a few other things to fire at you. Well, one thing I was just thinking of, because you are an Aussie, I don't know if you've collected footy. Time. I think you would have. I just want to. I don't think they get enough credit as what they deserve, and a lot of people don't know it. And Source and I have been saying that AFL, because you can't go out there and grade AFL cards. So that's what. Yeah, or is it there's someone that allowing AFL cards?
You can grade it now, but it wasn't a very prevalent thing previously. I believe BGS accepts and PSA as well.
Wow!
I do know that Cherry has sent cards, AFL cards, and I've seen them selling graded AFL cards before.
As it is a recent thing, and we don't see a lot of graded AFL cards out there. You hardly see any. I don't think people understand. Well, in Australia, I'm talking to the Australian people now because I don't think the American market or global market is collecting AFL cards, but I don't think unless you're Pat McAfee. So, so, but I don't think they understand how big, like, I don't know, the group of people are that collect these cards. Like, it is an underground type collectors like group. It is just that big. I don't think people understand.
To speak about when you were going to, card fairs 5 years ago, Domo, you wouldn't even, you'd walk across, you'd be looking for NBA cards, and you couldn't find an NBA card on a table.
I remember walking around, and like, this is when Grayson was coming up with Cherry as well, and he was there, and him with a couple others were the only ones selling like anything of variant to an AFL card, like box. They were there with NBA, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, well, something new." But everyone there was just vintage AFL cards. Have you had experience with that when you were here in Australia? I'm just trying to put it out there.
That's all I collected. But after the LeBron hype, like the NBA was pretty average, right? And I was all over footy. So I think from like 2003 to 2010, I think I only collected football, AFL football. And I remember pulling some big cards, like the captain's set. I think it was 2000. I was collecting footy then too. I think it was the Select 2000 or 2001, and the captain's set. And I remember getting a Buckley, and I sold that for like, it was about a $2,000 card then. So, mate, let me tell you, that card there, geez, like Buckley's like, even though I hate the Collingwood, but he is, man, he's a GOAT. Nathan Buckley, he's a champion, right? Like
he's in the category of like a Charles Barkley, one of the greats to do it, but never won a chip. As simple as that. One of the best to ever play. He just never won a premiership.
And they didn't win. Buckley didn't win one.
No, he never won one.
Never won one.
Really?
No.
Oh, wow. I thought he won one.
Nah, lost to Brisbane twice.
Yeah, that's when they won 3 years in a row. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah. That was, they're goats as well, mate. Voss. But I like James Hurd. James Hurd is a freak.
Great player.
I know he's had some bad things in the past, recently, or the last few years, whatever. But he is a legend, man. Like, if you ever watch that guy play football, geez, man, he's like a Dacos. Like Dacos used to pull, like the crazy moves, man. He's a legend.
I just think with AFL as well, the market it makes sense there because you can get a lot of vintage guys and autos and stuff. I don't think people understand that transitioning NBA to AFL, for example, in comparison, the league in terms of players in the AFL are nowhere near as good as the guys that were playing in the early 2000s, 90s, 80s. So you can't say, oh, this is the Luca of the AFL. Okay, yeah, Sam Rowell played 5 great games and then got injured. Yeah, Sam Walsh has shown bits and pieces. The guy at the moment you're collecting is Dustin Martin, but he's already established. So you can't go out there and say, I'm going to go get his rookie card because you can't afford it. That's what I'm trying to say to people. Go try and get a legit Dustin Martin rookie card, not one of the ones that have got like a full signature on it that have been manufactured on there. Go find a legit one that is signed by him. You cannot afford it. People will just like, and that's the thing, like they will charge you through the teeth for it. If you want it, you got to pay. And that's what I'm trying to make people understand. If these cards were graded, then it'd just be absolutely ridiculous. I'm talking about like 15, 20K a card, like for certain players, even more.
Has cards taken a hike up? Price
have they taken a hype? The release, so the AFL Dominance release, which is like their second highest product to Supremacy, that last year, Cherry, we had a speak with Cherry, and they said, boxes of that sat on our shelves for 3, 4, 5 months. It was still sitting on there. People would come in, buy a box. You could walk into our store, buy a box. Last year, it sold out on their site in 5 minutes, straight from Select.
Everything
sold out.
What?
Everything, every box.
And then Supremacy was a Supremacy, the later release that
Yeah.
sold out in 3 minutes.
Wow, I need to pull out some footy cards then.
Yeah.
I think you may have some. If you've been collecting from
Oh,
those
I
early
got-
ages and things, I
All
think
the
there could be
draft
some.
picks. I got all the sets of the draft picks, like Rewalt that year. I got the whole set. Yeah, I got heaps of sets. I used to collect the draft picks.
Yeah.
That's what I used to collect. The auto draft picks. That
Yeah.
was my thing. But
if you got a connection there at BGS and you got some decent draft pick autos in there, you might want to get them sent off and get them graded.
I would. I didn't even know that.
Legit.
Yeah.
It's just it is an underground thing. I'm glad that you have seen bits and pieces when you were here. I know I've definitely seen it. I just don't think they get they don't get the credit that they deserve, because a lot of people say it's NBA, then it's Pokemon and this and this and this, and AFL is never mentioned. I think it is NBA, and then AFL is the second biggest market here
in Australia. Like, that's the only thing that comes forward with it is that it's our sport.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get international love, right? Where soccer, football, is
It doesn't help. To be honest, it doesn't help that the AFL's trying to push into areas of the world that I don't think it's going to work. You know, trying to push it into China and that area. Stuff that Americans and that they love that. They love the rough stuff. Like, you know, imagine they see guys getting shirt fronted when they not even wearing pads. They'll be right into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'd be loving it. They'd watch the NFL and they'd be like, all right, it's practically the NFL that's more free flowing and no one's wearing any protective gear. So who wouldn't love that? Just seeing people get driven into the ground.
What about baseball? Do you guys like baseball?
Oh, I follow it on and off. Not really like into it massively, but I think in terms of the card market,
it's gaining traction down here. There's more and more people collecting baseball.
My cousin, he just signed with the White Sox. Liam Hendricks.
Nice.
Did you guys see him on the news?
No, I did not. Liam Hendricks.
So Hendricks, yeah. So he can you see that? He just signed with the Chicago White Sox.
What's his position?
He's a relief pitcher.
Nice.
So he was surprised you guys haven't heard of him. I think he's one of the highest paid Australian athletes now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
we're not into it massively. That's probably why.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball guy, but it's my cousin. So
good. We always like to see. Aussie's doing well,
dominating. We love that stuff. We have spoken to one of our friends of this show, Big Boy Movement. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, Big Boy Movement _805. He loves baseball and he's a massive, massive, massive Mike Trout guy. Like massive.
I think he owns about 12 Mike Trout rookies, BGS 9.5 or PSA 10.
Well, his laugh.
Tops update.
He's always like, we had him on and he said, like, if you're going to collect in baseball, you go just buy Trouts.
and not for anything, one of my mistakes, I wish he was telling people to buy Trouts, and I've been following for ages. At the point he told me to buy it was like $1,200 USD for a BGS 9.5. I'm like, I don't know much about baseball. I should have fucking listened, because they went up to like $6K, and then now they're just like continually going up, and it would have just been like one of the most safest things. And even when I like a few years and literally, quadrupled my money, but anyway, you live and you learn.
Man, baseball, the thing is, it's America's, just under 400 million people, right? So, and that's their number one sport. Number one baseball. I'm pretty damn sure it's their number one. And then, it's big in Japan and
it's
a few other countries, all right? So, yeah, it's they've just got the people. That's why. Like, to be honest, I don't know why Trout is even considered a GOAT. I have no idea, because he's still playing. I know Babe Ruth. Yeah. I know Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds. I know them guys, but I don't know anything about Mike Trout.
I think it's just the way he's breaking records and the way how quickly he's ascending. He hasn't even won a World Series yet. either. So that's the scary thing about it. But the last, nah, I don't think he's won one.
No, he hasn't won one yet. He can't because his team, he's much similar to Giannis. They just don't get the pieces around him to compete. You know,
does that make sense to you? Is there either?
Well, because he's breaking like a lot of records that have stood the test of time. So I understand that he's going into the history books.
Yeah, and baseball's like a very historical game. If you start getting into those records and breaking all-time records that old guys that hold it for years and years and years, people I don't know, they consider it to be worth something, but not for anything. Baseball's that sport, and the way I think he's in that echelon of athlete that really looks after his body and stuff. Like he could literally be playing for another 10 years. So, there's opportunity still for him to win a World Series.
Yeah.
Definitely. The last thing we just want to ask you with the NBA, whether it's this draft class or anyone that you think is a buy out there with a bit of a Shane Smokey. So just the buy out there in terms of who you reckon, who you like, who's looking good.
Out of this year's class?
Yep.
Well, obviously LaMelo. And you know what? One thing I like is that he put NBL on the map a little bit. I like that. And I think that kid, he's very flashy, but he's way better than Lonzo. I think he's going to be really good. Wiseman, I've watched Wiseman a bit because I catch a lot of Golden State games. Wiseman's impressive. And the kid from Minnesota, number 1, Edwards, is it?
Yeah.
He's got some flashy. He's got some talent too. Out of that class, I think it's still too early to say, but they're the 3. Obviously, LaMelo's just firing up. He's doing really well, and I think it's good that he's under MJ. Obviously, he would have some guidance from MJ, and I think as a young kid, that is huge. But second, I like RJ Barrett, man, as a player as well. Watch him coming up. RJ Barrett, I really like him, and Ja Morant. I think.
What about Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Bro, killer. I just feel bad for him because I know you boys love him, and you're right. The kid is good. He is good. And I cannot wait to see him and Ja healthy with Brandon Clark. They got a good young squad there.
They do, and a guy that's very, very underrated in that team, very underrated. And Saucy, I reckon you should, and yourself as well, Shane, just go look at his cards and maybe just get a few. I don't know what his prices are like, but Grayson Allen is extremely underrated in terms of his shooting coming off the bench. He's a guy that I would be looking at under the microscope. So
go back. Sometimes we look, we understand as coming into this. Obviously, we haven't been in this as long as you, Shane. So, it's funny when you go out and you tell someone, Grayson Allen could be a buy. But is Grayson Allen a buy for me to hold that card for the infinites of time? No, it's a buy that potential that if that team, gets attention because of Ja Morant and, he has some success coming off the bench and his PSA 10s are like super dirt cheap right now, why you couldn't, double or triple your money if you flip that later in the season. Now, we're not telling people to, 100% that Grayson Allen's buy. Do your research. But these are the opportunities that are now presenting themselves in the hobby, especially with people wanting to buy the next modern person or investing in modern people to watch them, modern guys to watch them. So I think, also some of that needs to be taken into account with some of the older collectors, that there's opportunity as well for them to, buy and flip cards. And I've heard a few older guys that have been in this for a while speaking about that, and they've welcomed it. So I think it's something that people need to look at, and it's a play.
You're dead right. Definitely. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's how you're going to upgrade your PC. If you are a hustler and you want to it's like the stock market, boys. So if this kid's doing well, you know what I mean, get his cards, and if you can make $1 on it, you'd be silly not to do it, right?
Totally agree.
You just gotta, man, you gotta know your stuff, and it is a risk, right? Because hey, you could buy 10 Grayson Allen PSA 10 rookies, and then he does, he gets injured, and then they're actually worth nothing, right? That's the only risk, I think, is injury with these new guys. Like Ja Morant took a massive hit, but yeah, I did that. With all my new wax, I will grade what I think's worth it, and then I flip it to buy a GOAT card. That's what I do.
Yeah, Source works similar to that as well. Get some better cards, and yeah, I know a lot of people that do that. And then a lot of people bag out people that buy these cards, and most of the time they're doing exactly what you both have said. They get these new cards because they know they're going to be nothing. As much as everyone thinks they're going to be something, they're going to be nobodies. They're going to be nothing. But they make so much money. They're like, all right, now I'll go buy my Kobe or my Jordan or my LeBron rookies or whatever, because they're so some of them are so cheap. Different variants are so cheap. They're like, well, I'll buy some of those, and then I've got enough to buy a bit of a Grail card that I've always liked for my PC, and they go and do that, and then it's just rinse and repeat. They're not out here collecting Sekou Doumbouya just for fun, going, he's going to win 10 titles. Sekou really, and Rui Hachimura. Really? We're going to start collecting these guys?
I like Rui.
Yeah, I like Rui too, but here's the hot tip for collectors out there that listen to this podcast. Like, here's your rude awakening. These guys are going to achieve zip. Nothing. Because Rui Hachimura and Sekou Doumbouya need to go through guys like Giannis and Luka, and they're nowhere near going to be close to those guys. So
they're lucky they might get on a team that wins a championship, right? Like a Caldwell Pope or a what's his name? Dudley.
He's been on a few.
Dudley. I got his rookie jersey auto. Jared Dudley.
I love the Dud.
That's my prized possession in my PC. I was actually just going through a whole bunch of cards, and then I found it and I sent it to Source.
I said, hey, Doma, he's won more championships than Giannis.
Definitely has. So is his brother. So is Giannis's brother.
Yeah.
We like ruffling feathers. We like ruffling feathers.
We love it. Well,
I've kept it pretty tame. We'll have a chat about something later. Maybe we could chat about something later. It's quite interesting, but I don't want to bring it up right now. But I actually just got an email from Beckett with getting my grades back. So
very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, giving you time. We'd love to have you back on, obviously, in the future, and make it a more consistent thing. Great to have you on, and
awesome. It's good chatting.
Thank you. Well,
anytime, I love this. Like, I love this. It's pretty cool. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Well, it's been Dom, the great man Source, and Shane, aka Sportscardz23. Keep living, loving, and breathing sports. It's double coverage, and peace.
Peace out, ladies and gents.
Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports. Double curve.